$1.5 billion. That's how much one man controlled in the middle of America's gangster era in the early 1900s, close to 100 years ago. But guess what? When his time came, he wasn't taken by the FBI or the police, not even by a rival gang, not even by bullets. He was caught by an accountant. Yeah. You heard that right. A guy who loves spreadsheets, not shotguns. Let's see how a calm, number-loving accountant took down one of the feared, most dangerous criminals in American history, Al Capone. We all know gangster shows and movies, right? When we think of them, we imagine gunfights, cigar smoke, and some shady deals in dimly lit rooms. But behind every big crime, there's always a trail of money, and that's what eventually betrayed Al Capone. We're going to see how a quiet accountant named Frank Wilson from the US Treasury Department built an airtight case that no mob lawyer could escape from. By the end, you'll realize that no matter how smart a criminal, the math never lies. Let's rewind to Chicago in the 1920s, the Prohibition era, when alcohol was banned, but money flowed like never before. Al Capone was ruling the city. Bootlegging, gambling, prostitution, he controlled it all. He even had the police and politicians on his payroll. Everyone knew he was behind the murders, smuggling, and extortion. But the problem? Nobody could prove it. Witnesses vanished, evidence disappeared, and fear kept everyone silent. To the public, Capone looked like untouchable. He called himself a businessman, not a criminal, like every other criminal these days. But what didn't he realize was that every dollar he spent was a breadcrumb leading straight back to him. That's when our hero accountant entered the chat. Meet Frank J. Wilson. He wasn't a cop or a detective, nor was he an FBI agent. He was working as an accountant. He worked for the US Treasury Special Unit, the T-Men. His job to catch tax cheats. And when everyone else failed to nail Capone, Wilson quietly said, let's look at his books. See, Capone didn't file any tax returns. Not one. Yet he lived like royalty. Penthouses, expensive suits, diamond jewelry, private parties. Wilson's logic was simple. If you earn money, legal or illegal, the IRS can tax it. And if you don't pay, that's a federal crime. That's one legal loophole that changed everything. Wilson and his small team began digging. They went through millions of documents, invoices, hotel bills, phone records, even department store receipts. It was also alleged that Capone once spent $6,500 on meat snacks for poker night, and this was back in 1920. In today's world, that's worth over $100,000. Imagine spending 85 lakh rupees worth of money today just on meat for gambling snacks. That's absolutely insane. Every dollar bill told a story of a man spending huge amounts with no declared income. He found secret ledgers with code names, initials, and hidden payments. Each entry connected to Capone's underground empire. He cross-checked handwriting, verified signatures, matched spending with illegal businesses, all without firing a single bullet. He didn't just trace money, he exposed an entire criminal world with math. But every investigation needed a crack from the inside. And that came from a man named Easy Eddie, once Capone's trusted associate. Eddie flipped. He secretly gave Wilson clues where to find the ledgers, who managed them, and even warned him that Capone planned to rig the jury during trial. That warning led Judge Wilkerson to pull a brilliant move. He switched the jury on the morning of the trial so Capone couldn't tamper with them. Now Capone was cornered. The ledgers were in, the evidence was solid and secure, and the accountant's math was bulletproof. By 1931, the evidence was ready. Capone was indicted on 22 counts of tax evasion. The trial was massive. His lawyers tried everything: fake illnesses, emotional drama, even plea bargains. But Wilson had built a case that was so impossible to shake that the jury had to find him guilty. The judge sentenced him to 11 years in federal prison, plus heavy fines and back taxes. The same man who once ruled Chicago with fear was now behind bars because he didn't pay his taxes. At this time, no amount of bribes or threats could save him. And that's how America's biggest gangster fell to a guy with just a pen and a balance sheet. Capone served time in Atlanta and later in Alcatraz, the world's most secure prison. By the time he was released in 1939, his empire had crumbled. His mind and body were destroyed by illness, and he lived quietly until his death in 1947. But Frank Wilson's quiet victory changed history. That case gave birth to something brand new: forensic accounting. And all of this started with one accountant asking the simple question, where's the money coming from? That's the power of accounting. It's not just about balance sheets or taxes, it's about uncovering truth through numbers. In today's world, forensic accountants still do the same thing, uncovering scams, frauds, and corporate crimes. From the Satyam scam in India to global frauds like Enron, every big investigation has an accountant somewhere connecting the dots. And honestly, that's what makes this profession so powerful. Accountants don't just sit behind desks, they protect economies, stop crimes, and deliver justice through numbers. That's the real magic of finance. So the next time someone says accounting is boring, tell them this story or show them this video. And if that doesn't sound cool enough, think about this. Today's accountants use the same investigative skills globally, whether in CMA USA, CPA USA, or ACCA careers. At NorthStar Academy, we teach these not just theory but real-world financial intelligence. Being an accountant today isn't just spreadsheets, it's solving mysteries through money. If this story fascinated you, wait till you hear what happened when accountants uncovered the Enron scandal, one of the biggest corporate frauds in human history. And that story coming up next is crazier. We'll see you there.